Thank you very much for making time for this today. Today we will be covering Google Tag Manager at about a 101 level. Certainly it's a very powerful tool and you can dig in a lot further than we're going to go through today, but our goal is to get you comfortable and effective, at least in editing and modifying and tweaking things inside the tool. Couple housekeeping items. First of all, this is an interactive webinar. Please do feel free to post questions or comments or anything in particular you'd like to see covered in more detail into the chat. I may hold or probably will hold some of those questions towards the end and address them at the end during the question section, but get them off of your head while they're present, right? So that way we can make sure to cover them at the end if we don't cover them in the content. Also, don't worry about taking screen grabs. You'll get a copy of these slides. If you did register via the website, they'll automatically be sent to you. Otherwise, there'll be a form at the end where you can request them, and we will get you a copy of all of the slides, as well as a link to the recording when it's available. With that, just a little bit about me. So I am a former software developer in a past life turned marketer. So I love that geeky intersection of marketing and technology. I'm also the founder and CEO of Brilliant Metrics, and I teach a bunch of courses at UW-Milwaukee School of Continuing Ed. So teaching about that geeky intersection between marketing and technology is basically my happy place. I am married with 3 young children I love dearly. One of them is still around right now and not started school yet, so hopefully she will not interrupt this webinar. Cross your fingers. A little bit about Brilliant Metrics, very, very brief plug here. We are a B2B digital first agency, meaning that we love digital for its analytics and measurability, but it's not the end of marketing. There's a lot more to it. Our clients come to us and stay with us because unlike many other agencies, we are invested in helping our clients continue to grow and improve and get to the next level. We are happy to turn tasks back over to our clients. We love helping them grow because we know we don't need to keep the work in-house within the agency. If we help them get them from A to B, they're going to be excited for us to help them get from B to C. So enough about us. Let's talk about Google Tag Manager. So it's hard to explain what Google Tag Manager is, but at a fundamental level, you can think of it like a switchboard, right? So it runs inside of your website visitor's browser. So they're running Chrome, it's running inside of Chrome. They're running Microsoft Edge, it's running inside of Edge. It's a tool that runs inside of their browser that goes and basically routes information from their browser to some other platform. Most commonly Google Analytics, but also marketing automation systems or the various advertising pixels and systems, etc. If you want to look at it from a high level, you have a bunch of inputs, like the information that's on the page, the actions that a user or website visitor are taking, information about the browser, right? Google Tag Manager collects this information, applies a bunch of logic and rules to it, and then sends it on its merry way over to other platforms where you can put it to work. That might be analytics, it might be advertising, it might be sucking in some tools or pushing data to tools. Either way, it's helping you interact with third-party platforms. It's broken up into roughly 3 sections: tags, triggers, and variables. And we're going to cover all 3 today, and we're going to go through some demos so that you can get comfortable with all 3 of them. Before we do that, let's talk about a little bit of why do I need this thing? Why do I need Google Tag Manager on my website? Well, first and foremost, because if you don't, anytime you need to tweak one of these things, you have to go running to the developers of the website to go and tweak it. Google Tag Manager is a mostly marketer-friendly platform for making tweaks to the things that marketers have to change on their website without having to go run to the developers and ask them to make the change. For many of us, those developers aren't even inside of our company. So now we're spending money with an outside resource anytime we want to change something, which can slow down that process immensely. Plus, there's the opportunity for confusion or miscommunication. Being able to work directly inside a tool like this is really powerful for being able to rapidly iterate and improve your digital marketing. It limits the risk. Now, it does not eliminate the risk of hurting the website, but it limits it. It is easier for a developer to break the website messing with the code right there in the site than it is for you to break the website working within Google Tag Manager. But here's the thing. If you do break the site, it's really easy to fix. It is really fast and easy to roll back a mistake or an error. And we'll go through how to do that in this webinar today. And then finally, it keeps a running audit log of the changes that were made to all of your tracking and routing and analytics. So if at a later date you see that there's some weird change in Google Analytics between, on May 27th, and you're like trying to figure out what the heck happened, you can go and look in your Google Tag Manager and see, well, maybe we changed the way we were tracking something on May 27th. And if you made that change in Google Analytics, that change is right there. And it has the email address of the person who made the change right next to it. So it's really easy to understand what changes were made by whom or when. Something doesn't seem to work right anymore. You know which person made the change to go ask them, what were you trying to do here? Because something's not right. All right, so I said there were tags, triggers, and variables. Let's jump into tags first. Tags take care of the right-hand side of this diagram here. They push data, they load things, they take action. A tag contains basically three things: a name, which goes up here, a configuration, which is the type of tag it is, and the settings for it. Under the hood, tags are just chunks of code that are running in your website visitor's browser. But if you had to go edit code for everything, well, it would be kind of hard and tricky. So one of the things that a lot of tags do is they give you ability to just visually change what code is running behind the scenes in an easy way in a configuration. In some cases, you're working directly with code, but most of that's copy paste, and I'll show you that too. And then finally, a trigger. The trigger is basically telling Google Tag Manager, when do I want this tag to fire? All right, let's go make a tag. So here I have a basically empty Google Tag Manager installation. And one of the first tags, in some cases, the only tag that ever gets set up, but the first tag you want to get set up is your Google Analytics tag. I'm going to demo this using GA4, the current version of Google Analytics. So for those of you who haven't made the leap yet, this is going to look a little foreign, but it's better than doing something in the platform that's going away. So over here, I have Google Analytics, and it's saying we haven't received any data from your website yet. You might want to go check that. It's also giving us this measurement ID here. I'm just going to copy this to the clipboard because this is going to be important in a minute. If I needed to get to it, it's down here in admin, but it gave it to me really handy right there. So over here, you can see we have tags, triggers, variables. Don't worry about folders or templates. They're not really important. We can cover those in another webinar, but I'm going to jump over here to tags, and while I'm here, create a new tag. I have to give my tag a name. Now, naming is important. The longer your Google Tag Manager sits out there, the more and more and more tags, triggers, and variables and stuff is going to accumulate there. If you don't have a clear and consistent naming structure, you'll get lost really quickly and you won't be able to find stuff. At the end of the webinar, we'll give you an opportunity to request the slides. Along with that, I'll send you our naming conventions that we use, and you can use those to keep stuff straight. But I'm just going to put in here GA4 config because that's the type of tag I'm going to load. When I click tag configuration, it says, what kind of tag do you want to make? I get some pre-canned ones up here that are all basically the Google tools. I have two custom ones, which you'll almost always be using custom HTML. And then there's a whole bunch of third-party ones down here. Some of these are tools that you use. Some of these are pretty obscure stuff, but you might want to take a peek down here or use the search to see if what you're looking for is available. In this case, it's Google to Google, so it's going to be up here on top. I'm going to load the GA4 configuration tag, which is the tag that's needed to get Google Analytics going. And look, it's asking for a measurement ID, which I happen to still have on my clipboard. So now that's all I have to do. That tag is done, but it's not going to run unless I give it a trigger. We'll cover more about triggers in a second, but I'm just going to select this all pages trigger right here and hit save. So now I have my GA4 config tag here. Does it work? Well, let's find out. I'm going to hit the preview button up here to go and test my changes. When I hit preview, it's going to ask me, where do I want to launch this tag manager? Well, this is the website we're going to be working with. Excuse my quirky sense of humor. I'm going to paste that in here and hit connect. Now it's going to pop up another tab with that website, and this little tag assistant thing loads down here that says, yes, you are debugging. You are sending information back to Google Tag Manager. So now I have 3 tabs. I have the place I'm working. I have this tag assistant, which is essentially a little monitoring window for what's going on over here in this browser window. And if I look here, I can see that in my the summary section over here of all the tags that have fired to date inside of this session of debugging here, that my GA4 config tag did in fact fire. And if I wanted to just double check that a little bit further, I can come over here to analytics. I can click on real time. And there is our one session, our one page view that we just created. So yay, that is working correctly. So we made a tag. Let's talk more about these triggers. So a trigger says when, and even more specifically than that, under which conditions we want to make things happen. So more specifically, there are a set of core events, things that happen in a browser window when somebody is interacting with the website. We can select one of those core events, and then we can add further filters or definitions about when that event fires, we want to fire a tag. So let's go do that. Let's go make a trigger. Oops. So here I have my Llama website, right? And let's just say I want to track when somebody clicks one of these social icons up here. Let's make a trigger for a Twitter link click. I'm going to come over here to my tag manager and go to triggers. I'm going to click new and give my trigger a name. Again, we'll give you a little cheat sheet for naming conventions. But we're just going to call this event Twitter link click. I click trigger configuration. And again, much like it asked me what type of tag I wanted to create, now it's asking me what type of trigger do I want to create. And here we have all of those basic events that can happen in a browser. The top ones happen automatically anytime a page is viewed, and they're basically at different stages of that page loading. And then we have some of the ones that are a little bit more engagement. So we have clicks, we have other user engagements, YouTube video watching, scroll depth, form submission, etc. And then there's some special ones down here. In this case, I want to know when somebody clicks one of those 2 links in the upper right-hand corner. So I'm going to select click. And just to make it a little cleaner, I could do either one of these. I'm going to select just links. Now, if I just save this right here, the trigger is going to fire anytime anybody clicks any link on the page. That's not what I want. I want that specific Twitter link. So I need to say some link clicks, not all link clicks. And then it brings up these conditions here. Now, We haven't covered variables yet. That's the next section. But over here is a list of variables. In the middle is a list of conditions. And on the right is a list of values. And in my case, I only want to trigger this Twitter link click if somebody clicks a link for Twitter. But I don't have URL or link URL in here. I have a page URL. That's the URL of the page I'm on. I need something about that click. So I'm going to come down here and choose a built-in variable. And I see I've got click URL. I also have click text and click ID and click classes and click element. There's lots of ways I could get a hold of which click I want to filter on here. I'm just going to do click URL though. And I'm going to type contains twitter.com. And hit save. Great. I have a trigger. It's not going to do a darn thing until I hook that up to a tag, because Twitter triggers decide when things happen. Tags decide what happens. So what do I want to have happen when somebody clicks that Twitter icon? Well, I think I want to send a special event over to analytics, because when they click that link, they're leaving our website. So I can't follow on what happens after that. So I want to know somebody clicked that specific link to know whether or not I should even bother having those social icons on my website at all. So let's add a tag over here. I'm going to create a GA4 event tag. And my event name will be social. Usually use underscores. We'll use underscores. Social link click. Okay. This will send this special event over to analytics. I'll be able to show you that in a second. So we're going to call this GA4 event social link click. And then I can go over here and select my event Twitter link click. Wait, this is just Twitter links. This says social link clicks. Why don't I make another one quick for Facebook? So I'm just going to click the plus sign up here. I can actually make a new trigger from here. This is one of the coolest things about the Tag Manager interface is you sort of get this my son just told me this is the improper use of the word inception, but you get this inception situation, right? Where you're working in one thing and then you click and you want to create a new thing or look into a thing that's a part of the first thing, and it just kind of slides you into that. And then you can go to the thing that's related to that and the thing that's related to that. You can do that indefinitely. And then as you close them, it brings you back to the first thing you started in. So I'm adding a new trigger here. My trigger type again is going to be link clicks, some link clicks. My click URL variable is here already. I don't need to add that again. Contains facebook.com. I'm going to give this a name of event Facebook link click. Hit save. And now I have a Facebook link click and a Twitter link click. Either of these triggers will trigger this same tag. Woohoo! All right, let's hit save. Oh, it's complaining. I didn't select a configuration tag. Well, this is the config tag that I set up earlier, so I just need to select that. Now I can hit save. Let's preview it. I'm going to hit preview. It's going to reload this thing here. And it also reloaded my Llamas Rock webpage here. Now you'll see my GA4 config tag fired, because that's supposed to fire, like immediately on all pages. But the GA4 event social link click did not fire. Let's come over here and click on our Twitter icon. It took me off of my Llama page. What happened over here? Well, first of all, it's saying that it can't track anymore because it's on twitter.com. But if we look over here, we have some events that fired. And in my summary, it says that our GA4 event, social link click, fired. Cool. Let's see if we can see that in analytics. Over here, we're going to run down to event count. Social link click, 1. All right. I want to get back on my Llama page. So I'm just going to hit the back button in my browser and it reconnected with my tag assistant. If I come over here, I see another page view here. And over here, my social link click hasn't happened yet. If I click on Facebook, it takes me off of here. I'm going to hit the back button before you guys get a chance to see what random post it shows in Facebook for me. And now I see here that my social link click did occur. Specifically, it happened on this link click event. Oh, I'm sorry, on this link click event. So you get the idea. All right, so we covered tags, we covered triggers. Let's take a look at variables. Variables are how you get at information. It's how you get at the data that's inside of these actions. So that could be information about the page. That could be information about a user's action, or it could be information about the browser itself. There's lots of variable options. There are fundamentally two different types of variables. There are built-in variables that you just have to enable. And the reason they're not all enabled out of the box, which would be really convenient, is it actually increases the size of the Google Tag Manager load every time you add something new. So if they enabled every variable under the sun, well, it would slow down every website using Google Tag Manager by this much. Google doesn't like to make the internet slower. They make less money when the internet's slower. So they don't enable all of the variables right out of the gate. By the way, I'm seeing 0 questions in chat. So either everything I'm saying is making perfect sense or no sense to everyone. I doubt that's the case. So please do get those questions in chat. All right, so back to variables. We have built-in ones. So you see a list here, but there's also custom variables that you can create. There are a couple different types of custom variables, and we will go down that road, but generally they fall into one of two camps. They're either more specific versions of these variables, and we'll create one like that in a moment, or they are completely different, completely custom buckets you can put data in, the most common being a data layer variable, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Okay, let's make a variable. Whoops, we're going to go to a hypothetical situation here where my Llama website has 2 different sources of traffic on Facebook. One of them is a group of Llama fans. The other one is the Llamas Rock Facebook page. Now, I post links to both of them on a regular basis, and I want to know, did that traffic come from my Llama group, or did that traffic come from my Llama page? If I look in Google Analytics, it's just going to tell me the source is Facebook. It's not going to tell me where in Facebook it came from. So to solve that problem, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little, what's called a UTM, or what's called a query parameter to the end of my URLs before I go post them. So I'll say FB underscore source equals group for the ones that are coming from the group. Now the URL is the same. It doesn't change what loads here, but there's this extra little bit of code at the end of the URL that I can pick up inside a tag manager. So now Tag Manager will know whether or not that's a link I posted to the group or a link that I posted to my page. But how will Tag Manager know? Well, the first thing we have to do is create a variable to store that information. And so I'm going to create, I'm not going to configure one of the built-in variables. This just gives me a checkboxes to enable or disable things. I need a very specific variable that is Facebook source. So I'm going to create a new one. And I get to select what kind of variable I'm going to create. A lot of these look like some of the other variables that you saw on the previous page. The built-in ones are really just fancy versions of these. But in my case, I need to get something out of the URL. So I'm going to grab URL. I don't want the full URL. I want that query portion. And if I wasn't sure about that, I can put my mouse over this little question mark here. It'll tell me exactly what a query is and what a query key means, etc. But if you remember over here, I said question mark FB source equals group. So I want FB source. Let's come back over here and let's paste that. I don't think I copied it. Can't paste something you don't copy. FB source, that's my query key because I want whatever that equals in my URL over here. Okay, I'm going to save this. Oh, I got to give it a name. URL FB underscore source. Okay. My variable is now saved. Now, how can I use that? Well, one way I could use that is I can pass that information over to Google Analytics. So let's do that. And I want to pass that on every single page view. Now, one thing I didn't cover, remember how up here in this tag configuration, you get options? We filled in this measurement ID. There's a checkbox here that says send a page view event when this configuration loads. That's all fine and dandy, but I can't pass any additional information with this built-in page view. Most of the time, most marketers need that page view. Matter of fact, in the very early days of this, you had to actually you had to create a separate tag for the page view, and marketers screwed it up. So they built it in and added this checkbox. But we want to actually separate this out. So this tag will just set up the configuration. Won't send any events. Okay. Now we're going to add another tag to send that page view. I have to select my configuration tag so it doesn't yell at me when I try and save. My event name, I need to get this exactly right. So I'm going to come over here to analytics and I'm going to take a look here at the events that happen. And here's that page view event. I'm just going to copy this so I get it exactly right. So I have that event name exactly as it shows up here because I'm replacing what the default one was. Oops. Let me paste that in here. Great. Now I have event parameters. Sweet. I can create an event parameter for Facebook source. And then over here, I could type in a source and then every single page view would be from the same Facebook source. But I have a variable, by the way, Lego icon equals variable. Surprised Lego hasn't sued Google over that yet. At any rate, over here, I have my URL Facebook source. Click that. And now every time a page view is sent to Google, it'll send along with it FB source, and it'll pass in whatever's in the URL. I need to trigger this. I'm going to trigger this on all pages, just like I did with the configs. So now this will fire after the config loads and send my page view event, just like it was before. All right, let's test. All right, now I have my Llama's Rock page. I don't have that FB source up here. So let's see what happened. Well, my config fired and my page view fired. My page view sent FB source here. And if I click into where that ran, which is this container loaded here, I can even see what the value is. And it said FB source and empty. Nothing's in there. Okay. Let's test this with an FB source. So I don't know how much you know about query parameters, but if you have a question mark, then that means instead of putting another question mark here, I'm going to put an ampersand FB underscore source equals group. This is from my Facebook group now. So this would be the link I'd post in my Facebook group. If I come back over here to my tag assistant and I look at this now, my page view ran. It says it fired on container loaded. So let's go take a look at container loaded. And now I can see my parameters were pushed were FB source and group. Woohoo! Now I can come over here to analytics. And let's dig into our page views. Now it'll tell me all of the parameters here. If I go to the end, FB source is there. And it should tell me what the values are. Oh, there they are. I just had to be patient. It says that 1 came in with group. Let's come over here and let's change this to page. Oh, I'm just clicking around randomly here. All right. Now, if we come over here and we look, it might take a second to load. Come on, analytics. There we go. Now our page showed up. So now we can look at how many page views, and you can get to sessions through here too that contain that came from our group and how many came from our page. And now all of our Facebook traffic isn't all mixed up together in analytics. All right, so that's a variable. You can do a lot more than just interact with Google Analytics, though, inside of Tag Manager. So let's set up the Facebook pixel. So here I have the email that Facebook lets you send when you create a new pixel. It includes some code here to install the pixel base code. Let's do that. So this is some HTML code. It's got a script tag right here. So I know that it's HTML and it's JavaScript inside of HTML, but I know that it's HTML. So I'm going to copy this code and come over here to Google Tag Manager. I create a new tag. This is going to be a custom HTML tag, which means I can just paste whatever code I want to in here. Now, in this case, I don't even know what this code does, but it is the standard tag that Facebook provides. So I'm pretty sure it's safe. And I'm going to show you how to check and make sure that it doesn't break your site in a moment. I need to give this a name. So we're going to call it FB Pixel. Although now it's Meta, so I guess we need to change our naming conventions here eventually. And I'm going to trigger this on all pages because I want that pixel loaded all the time. Hit save. Go to preview here. Loads my Llamas Rock web page here. If I take a peek at this plugin, right, this Chrome extension right here, this is the Facebook Pixel Helper, and it's telling me that my pixel loaded, and we pushed a page view event to Facebook. Success. How do I know I didn't break the website though? Well, the way that you tell that is you bring up your developer tools. And I know you're not a developer, but we're not going to do anything scary here. You can do that by right-clicking anywhere and clicking Inspect. The other option is to come over here and go to More Tools, Developer Tools, or to hit the keyboard shortcut. It's a little bit different depending on the browser that you run, but either way, that will bring that up. Now, mine are set up a little bit differently, so let me just get them. Usually that'll look like this. And in our case, we want to go to this console tab. What we're looking for is errors. And if I just want to be sure, I can hit refresh up here and see if we get any more errors. Yellow things don't matter. Yellow things will pop up. Red stuff does. And so if I had a red thing here, I'd want to make sure that the red thing wasn't there when I wasn't debugging or wasn't previewing my my Google Tag Manager. And it was there when I was previewing my Google Tag Manager. That means don't publish. You did something to break the website. But otherwise, in general, if the website looks and works okay and you don't have any red text here, then you're safe to publish your change. Okay. So our pixel is set up. Facebook lets me optimize on conversions, but that means Facebook needs to know what a conversion is. And there are ways inside of Facebook to go and kind of tell it what a conversion is. But if you want to be really exact about it, you'll pass a conversion event over to Facebook. So let's do that. In my case, if somebody fills out this form here, that is a conversion to me. So how do we handle this? Well, first we need a trigger. So let's come over here to triggers and let's create a new trigger. And we call our conversion triggers CONV. And then what it is that we're what it is that we're converting here. So this will be the contact us form. And my trigger configuration, I come down here. This is a form submission. So I'm going to click form submission. And for right now, I'm going to leave it to all forms. I hit save. Okay, so now I have my trigger. I need a tag. Let me go back to that email here. Install event code. Get event code for conversions. Okay. Hey, we got some code over here. Now, it's not HTML, it's JavaScript, but I think we can make that work. There is a website action for contact. Hey, that looks pretty good. Let's copy that. So I have my trigger. I need a tag. I need a tag that sends that conversion over to Facebook so that we can now optimize for it. So I'm going to click new on my, I'm going to go to tags. I'm going to click new. And under my tag configuration, I don't have a custom JavaScript tag over here. All I have is custom HTML. But you can use that to put custom JavaScript. All you need to do is put it inside of a script tag. So if you don't know enough HTML to do this, you might need to pull a developer over to help with this little bit. But now I can paste in that code I copied from Facebook's website. And now I can track a contact us conversion. I can trigger that when somebody fills out my contact us form. So FB conversion contact us. All right, let's preview this. Let me go over to my Llamas Rock webpage here, and let's come down and fill in the form. I don't really want to buy a llama. Hit send message. And let's take a look at my tag assistant here. Oops, I went to the wrong one. Let me try this one. I didn't have the debugger up. I really don't want to buy a llama. Okay, now let's see here. There we go. Wait, I have 2 form submits and both of them fired my Facebook conversion. Why do I have 2 form submits? This one is something about Facebook. And this one is the page I was on. I think this is probably the one I want. I don't know what this Facebook business is. And really, I don't want this firing on every form submit on the website anyway. So let's see if we can figure out some way to get a hold of that. Maybe a variable will help me out. Let's come over here to variables. And let's take a look at some of our built-in variables, see if there's anything in here about forms. Okay, so we have a bunch of form variables. Maybe one of these will help me pick which form I'm submitting. Let me enable form ID and form classes. Maybe the form URL might help too. All right, let's go ahead and preview again. This time I'm going to fill out the form on the right website. and hit send message and come back over here. Okay, so I still have two form submits. One of these I want, the other one I don't. Let's take a look at variables here. This one, form ID and form classes are empty. This one, form ID contains home contact form. Hey, that looks pretty good. I'm going to copy that. And let's go back to our trigger here for this contact us form. And remember, triggers, you know, we can pick what event triggers our event, but then we can get specific about when with some filters. I can specifically say form ID equals this home contact form. And now when I preview, and I go fill out this form, okay, that went through. Come over here. I still have two form submits. This one fired my Facebook conversion tag. This one did not. So now only the form submit I want to be capturing is firing my conversion tag. And I'm only telling Facebook that that visitor converted when the right form is filled out. All right. I'm going to skip this exercise, but we can also use that same trigger, just like we can use multiple triggers in a tag. We can use one trigger for multiple tags. If we have time, we'll come back to this, but there's definitely more stuff I want to cover here. The other type of variable that's kind of a custom bucket, the most common one is called a data layer variable, which sounds intimidating, but really all it is it's a way to get website code over into Tag Manager. So if you get website code pushed over into Tag Manager, you can do things like different page types could send that information to analytics. So now you can split up your traffic by page type, or a certain event could happen in some sort of interactive page. Now you can create a trigger to go and fire some set of tags if that special event happened in that interactive page. Usually you want a developer that's making this easy though. And so what we'll often do is set it up so the web page editor lets us control some of these variables in the data layer. Specifically, your best use cases for this are, tagging different types of pages. Our favorite, tagging different points in the buyer's journey. Or if you don't really, have a buyer's journey fleshed out, different pain points or product interests or use cases, right? Because now you can retarget traffic off of use cases regardless of which page it came from. You can send traffic back. Tagging industry or market segmentation, passing events for interactive pages. So on the Brilliant Metrics website, we have this marketing maturity slider thing. It's really cool, but we aren't currently sending that data over to analytics. We could set it up so that when somebody moves a slider, it goes to analytics. All right, enough about that geekery of the data layer. Super powerful. Partner with the developer to get the data into Tag Manager, and then you as the marketer are able to work with it. All right, I want to cover a little bit about workspaces and versioning. The two of them sort of go hand in hand. If I come over here, I can see I'm in a default workspace, but I can create a separate workspace where I could work on solving a different problem. So I'm just going to call this problem 2 and hit save. And now I'm back to square one. I've got nothing out here because my default workspace where all my work is, this hasn't been published yet. So all of this work is still sitting out here in kind of my workbench. If I hit submit, it prompts me for a description of the version. So I'm going to put GA setup and Facebook Pixel and hit publish. Now this version is published, and I can see my GA setup and Facebook Pixel version is out here. If I go back to Workspace and I select problem 2, it says, hey, there's a new version out there. Somebody published something and your workspace, your workbench is out of date. You need to update it. Okay, cool. Now the space that I'm working has all those tags that we just published. So workspaces allow multiple users to work on different projects inside a tag manager at the same time. And they allow you to start work on one project, go, oh, wait, I got to go and deal with this other thing over here and go work on a different project without having to throw away all your work. I strongly encourage you to use workspaces. Within our agency, we actually have a policy against using the default workspace that's just used for viewing what's out there today. And we always create our own workspaces for doing our work. Versions help you understand what changed, when, help you roll back mistakes, and equally importantly, know who to ask about what a change was. So let's go make a mistake. I'm going to work in the default workspace, which I'm not supposed to do, but that's okay. For the sake of demonstration, I'll do that. Actually, you know what? I won't. I'm going to create a new workspace. I'm coming in here. My project is to clean up Tag Manager. It's gotten too messy. All right, I'm going to come out here to these tags and I'm going to go Facebook Pixel. We don't need no stinking Facebook Pixel. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and hit submit and publish this. Clean up Tag Manager, some Yahoo, put a Facebook Pixel out there and hit publish. Okay, so now my change is out there. And now, let's say I'm out on the website and I'm like, wait a minute, my Facebook conversions aren't working anymore. What happened? Well, let's come over here to Tag Manager. And if I'm just sitting here in the default workspace of Tag Manager, I can come out and click versions and I can go see. Well, on August 25th, some guy named Steve Robinson did clean up Tag Manager. What did he change? Oh, Facebook Pixel, tag, deleted. I really wish he hadn't done that. Well, what we can do is we can go to the version before that was working. And we can just publish this. Or we can set it as the latest version. In this case, I'm just going to publish it. And when I hit publish, now this one is live instead of this one. I could also set as the latest version if I wanted. And now it restored this one as this version, and I can publish this one. Either way, this cleanup Tag Manager is still out there. We just restored this version here. So easy undo, multiple ways to do it, super fast. If somebody breaks the website, you go unbreak it right away. Okay. With that, I'm going to open up the floor to questions. Also, if you're coming in off of LinkedIn and you did not fill out a form to get here, this is how you get the slides. Chad, I've got your email here. I'll make sure to get you slides as well. We'll also get you a link to the recording, and I'll get you that naming conventions as well. If you don't QR code, we've got a brilliant.co/GTM-slides. You can just type that into your browser and I'll take you to that form as well. But opening up the floor to questions here. We're running a little bit behind. I usually try to end 10 minutes before the hour, but we can run right up to the end of the hour with any questions you might have. I do not see any questions in chat. I'll give you guys another 10 seconds. Again, music would be good here, wouldn't it? Okay. Well, on that note, I'd like to thank everybody for making time for this today. I hope you got some value out of it. Ollie asks how to view the recordings. If you signed up through the website, you will get a link to the recordings. If not, you need to quick grab this QR code and fill out that form. It just asks for an email address, and we'll send a link back with the on-demand for you to view. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. If you have any questions, you feel free to reach out through our website, get a hold of us, or I will throw my email address in the chat as well. And you are more than welcome to reach out and connect. I hope everyone has a wonderful day.